Good morning, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talk Sunday stream of consciousness. How's everybody doing today? It's a snowy Sunday here in the Northeast. I haven't given weather reports in a while. I probably ought to get back to that. I know a lot of people love that or hate it. So we got about, everything's a big storm here. Get 3 inches of snow and we're all snowed in for a month. I'm going out. So welcome everybody watching us this morning on TGI Sports Talk on Facebook or YouTube on Let's Talk Sports YouTube page. And of course, Northeast Streaming Sports, we're live this morning on Facebook, YouTube, and the Roku channel. Can't comment from your Roku channel, but you want to see, the guy had some great comments about my head last week on Friday. If you want to see this giant head on a big screen, feel free to download that Roku channel. The Northeast Streaming Sports Roku channel. It's all free. Also, by the way, we're on Twitter, which we're really been getting a lot of action on Twitter. So I appreciate everybody who's been viewing the show over there. And I think the comments come through. I'm not sure. And a big thumbs up to DDH. I hope everything's going well in the great beyond for you today, my friend. And also Ralph Williams over there at RW Media. Specifically the Sports Corner with Smoke and Jim Frazier on WBVP radio on 1230 AM and 99.3 FM. What else? And I apologize, by the way, to the groups, the great groups out there that I talk about all the time that have people come and watch the show, comment on the show, not necessarily always during the show, but later on. I apologize to all of you because for the last 7 days, Facebook has limited me, and I've not been able to share the show with you. So if you haven't seen it live, you got to get to TGI Sports Talk or one of the other venues to be able to watch it. So we haven't been able to get it shared. And man, we get a ton of views after the fact. And again, Facebook continues to tick me off, man. Nazis over there. Good morning, Dave Guyette up in Johnstown. How much snow you got up there, Dave? I don't have to. I'll probably ride up to Amsterdam later. I want to see what the weather is up that way. Blessed Sunday to you, CA. Good to have you with us as well. Looked like they were trying to start a storm. We do the other show. Mac didn't like my comments about Gardner Minshew. And we're going to get into that game in a second. Good morning, Rick. I'll put that up for you. We'll have Jim Biringer join us, by the way. So I'll get some music going, don't I? Let's get it gone. We're going to have Jim Biringer join us in a little while to chat a little bit of college football and a little NHL. But, the games last night, and to CA's point, I was on with Mac and Jack and Jim Jeffcoat and Sonia on the big football show on Northeast Streaming Sports for the last half hour. And for whatever reason, Mac specifically wanted to blame everything that Colts loss on the running back who dropped the ball on the 4th down and 1. Listen, yeah, he got his hands on the ball. He had to turn all the way around. Minshew cost them that game last night. End of story. 14 completions for 140 yards. Missed a bunch of guys wide open. Threw balls like that guys had to either make great catches, and he missed a touchdown where they had to kick a field goal in the first quarter. Please, you're not winning big football games with Gardner Minshew, and I'm not, I'm not trying to gang up on the guy, but, look at the difference. If you're going to be a game manager, that's not how you do it. Mason Rudolph with the Steelers yesterday, that's how you do it. 18-20, no mistakes, a touchdown. And I know the Ravens weren't playing for anything, but, come in and don't make mistakes. With that said, Texans are probably a better football team at this point. They got a better quarterback. Quarterbacks matter, obviously. Jonathan Taylor was absolutely outstanding. Ended up breaking a 49-yard run for a touchdown. I kept thinking, even before that, he was this close a bunch of times to busting really big plays. And he kept him in the game, in my mind. He ran for 188 yards last night, I think, roughly. Gardner Minshew cost them that game, and that's what that was all about. So we're going to get into some stuff today. again, you guys, your topics, throw them out there. And when Jim comes in, we'll get into some stuff with him that he wants to touch on. And you guys can certainly throw questions at him about the NHL. Just a couple of starting points of things I had on my list to talk about. Week 18 here with and look at the playoff picture. The Bills could either be second seed or out. Talk about these games last night. Talk about Harbaugh possibly going to the end. I think probably going to the NFL. He's done in Michigan, in my view, win or lose. We'll talk about that game as well. Back to the NFL. I want to talk a little bit. Is anybody going to, and again, if your team's not playing, I'm not. So I'm not paying for Peacock next week. NBC paid $110 million for one game to put it on Peacock, the paid version of Peacock. You won't be able to see this playoff game next Saturday night. We don't know who the teams are yet, but you will not see it unless you have Peacock Premium. College football, we got the final on Monday. We got the Harbaugh story, of course. We've got Michael Penix and J.J. McCarthy. Where are they going to go in the draft? There's no doubt in my mind Penix is a better college quarterback, but McCarthy's going to get drafted higher. Major League Baseball news. We had some trade yesterday. I think it was yesterday, maybe the day before, with Robbie Ray. Manea goes to the Mets for 2 years at $28 million. Dylan Cease, the Mets and Yankees will be in a bidding war with some other teams for that. We'll look at that trade and whether he's a better fit or Blake Snell for the Yankees and to a lesser degree the Mets. God, it's a good thing we didn't get into that last on the Mac and Jack and Jim and Sonia show because I don't want Blake Snell. He's soft. I don't want him. It's going to be Rondon 2.0. And a little NBA if you want to talk about the Knicks. And I know Rick got into a game, was messaging me Friday night. And Knicks are playing well. They've won 4 in a row. But listen, the NBA today is an acquired taste. And we'll get into some college basketball if we have time. But, hopefully your comments and your topics will drive this show like it does every Sunday. Love having you guys do that. Love having you with me. So who we got with us that I haven't touched on yet? We got CA. Yeah, so Rick, I got you. Good morning again. Rick's in Amsterdam now. There's 4 inches there. That's good. We got 3 or 4 here. Nothing crazy. My street's clear already. Well, we're in nature. We're in a community, so we already did it to the road. I think we're going to get another 1 to 3 this afternoon, but I'm probably going to take a ride to Amsterdam to watch the last game of the year, as I missed last week. Good morning, Anthony. They're running. Well, you know what, though? It's possible, right? Because he doesn't have a contract and he held out this year. Jonathan Taylor is one of the best backs in football. To me, there's McCaffrey and him and everybody else. Maybe that's not fair, but Jonathan Taylor, when he's right, is great. And they had to run him into the ground last night because there's nothing else they could do. Gardner Minshew cannot go and win a big game like this against a good defense. You can't rely on him. He's not a reliable quarterback. The first real snow of the year. What do you got up there in the mountain, Kenny? We, obviously, like always, the local stations sell the weather like, the apocalypse is upon us when we're getting 2 or 3 inches of snow. And people drive like they'd never seen snow before. You live in the Northeast, guys. You grew up here with snow. All that flooding in the UK and media, mostly blaming it on climate change, of course. It's overwhelmingly about irresponsible built-up infrastructure, more specifically irresponsible population growth. Careful, CA. We'll have somebody else countering you that, we're trying to eliminate that population growth. Listen, I don't deny climate change. There's climate change. I have a problem with the math. And I know I'm just a lowly Perth graduate who gets by on sometimes common sense. Climate's been changing for millions of years. It changes. It's a cyclical thing. But I'm in a minority. It's just starting to snow. I can't talk baseball. Who knows how much we'll get into it, Kenny? Depends on the other stuff. Only a dusting in Columbus. God doesn't want to cover up heaven. Good morning, Ed in Columbus. Great to have you with us. our Buckeye fan. You can weigh in too, Ed. I don't know if I talked to you about this. I may have, if you popped in Wednesday night. Will Howard going to Ohio State. Are we happy? I like Will Howard. I think Will Howard had a really good career at Kansas State. I like some of the things he can do. He can run the football. I think he gives them a different dimension that McCord didn't. And quite frankly, C.J. Stroud didn't give them for a lot of his career there as far as being able to run the ball. Now, he does run the ball now. He did run the ball in the semifinal, the great semifinal game that he had last year, which really solidified his draft status. But for the most of his Ohio State career, he was knocked for not running the ball more. But I think he gives Ohio State an excellent opportunity, assuming he wins that job. 6 inches up on the mountain. See it? I mean, again, I know there's some more coming today, but why does every snowstorm? By the way, when I was a kid, and I know I'm old, and Kenny and Rick are there with me, but when I was young, there wasn't even a storm until it was like a foot. They didn't cancel school till we had a foot of snow, for crying out loud. Now, 2 inches, everybody's cleaning out the eggs and the bread and the toilet paper, hunkering down like they're not going to be able to get out of their house for a month. When people hear snow running the stairs, exactly. Don't forget the toilet paper, Anthony. Yeah, just wait until all the boomers are gone. Then they will have lots of room. Hey, wait a minute. They're probably trying to get rid of us now, Kenny, so whatever. Harbaugh for governor of where, though? Listen, Harbaugh is either going to win or lose Monday night, and I believe he'll lose. I like Washington a lot, especially getting 4.5. I've had a really good year in college football. Let's not end it with a loss. I think Washington wins. I think win or lose, Harbaugh's gone. A lot of talk yesterday about him being interested in Carolina, but Tepper not ready to bend to his demands. I don't think he goes back. They're going to get sanctioned for the BS stuff that went on, and I do think he'll be gone, and it'll be interesting whether they elevate. I can't think of the offensive coordinator's name who filled in for Harbaugh right now. Skipping my mind, but it'd be interesting to see if they stay with him or move on. Ed's ecstatic about Howard. The defense is coming back as well. Listen, one thing about Ohio State, the thing that held them back before this year was the defense. And the defense was extraordinary, I thought, this year for the most part. And listen, McCord was efficient, but he didn't have – the situation had to be perfect, right? He could not make something out of nothing. Will Howard's a really good quarterback, and guys in the Big Ten and people might look down at anything other than the SEC and the Big Ten. Will Howard had a really good career in the Big 12. And he's going to add something really good, nice to this Ohio State offense. Big Ten champs next year for it. He'll fit perfectly as a politician. That's not fair to all politicians. I don't think Harbaugh's running for office anytime soon. By the way, when did Harbaugh go blind? Did he wear contacts his entire career? Because his glasses are thicker than mine, and I'm blind as a bat. He looks like Mr. Magoo out there with those glasses he's wearing. What's up with that? Since it's Sunday, NFL, as a Washington fan, Monday will be the biggest party after letting go Snyder. Well, Snyder's going, you're talking about. And we do have Black Monday coming up. I didn't mention that. Black Monday is on the horizon where a lot of coaches are going to lose their jobs. And I'm sure Anthony's talking about Ron Rivera here. The sad part is those guys are making millions of dollars. Even the coordinators are making millions of dollars. But there are a lot of guys in those staffs who are not making a gazillion dollars a year. And that's a tough life, man. They're moving from city to city. affects a lot of people. But you got to make these moves sometimes. Rivera's in trouble. Arthur Smith's in trouble in Atlanta. Whether they make the playoffs or not in that weak division, in my mind. We don't know Belichick's fate yet. I think it's 50-50 now. I've moved to the camp. I want him back because of how hard this team has played and how he hasn't quit. The team hasn't quit. I don't want him making decisions anymore in the war room. That's all. Who else is in trouble today? Maybe Robert Saleh. I mean, I know the Groundhog Man gave him his endorsement, but hey, I'm not so sure that he's safe. To be honest with you, we got the Raider situation to play itself out. This is why I don't like firing coaches during the middle of the season. You get a guy who does well, and the players like him for whatever reason, like Antonio Pierce. And the Raiders also failed here. Maybe a guy they should have kept that was an interim in Dean Biasacci, or Dean Biasacci, whatever, Rich Biasacci. I think Dean Biasucci was a kicker years ago. But they took a lot of backlash for getting rid of him and hiring Josh McDonald, Big Daniel, Old McDonald. Does that scare Mark Davis? I think Mark Davis wants a name. Harbaugh's going to be in play there. He wants to talk to Harbaugh. John Gruden's still in play there. So I don't think Antonio Pierce has got this job locked up. When you hire an interim, though, or put an interim in place, it makes it tough to make the decisions afterwards. It really does. Can always talk baseball no matter the weather. Don't disagree there. Problem is, baseball doesn't. They're trying to do it the right way, but they can't top the NFL for being year-round conversation just because of the way the NFL lays everything out. They schedule everything out, and they're always in the news. Baseball has a lot of dead periods where there's nothing going on. So is college football, by the way. Too much crammed into December. Good morning, JB. How are you? Good to have you with us this morning, JB, in the Bring It Back. Back It Up binge podcast. I'll get my lips together or something eventually here this morning. Good to have you with us, JB. Check out his podcast. I saw it on Twitter. I'm not sure where else you can catch that, JB. You can feel free to share it. And in Columbus, don't need to see when you have people stealing signs for you. By the way, so, Ed, I can't let this pass. I keep saying, right, that this is a lot of nonsense over nothing. Because not nothing. I mean, I don't condone cheating. But when everybody's doing the same thing, Ohio State was stealing Michigan signals long before this scandal ever broke. They were also giving information to Purdue, along with Rutgers, giving information to Purdue for the Big Ten championship game of 2 years ago. Now, we might be disputing about how they're stealing those signals, but everybody's trying to get an edge, and they haven't done that. By the way, their schedule is heavily backloaded. Penn State, Ohio State. Then, of course, you've got the Big Ten championship game, which wasn't much of a game, obviously. And then you've got the playoffs. Well, they haven't been able to use any sign-stealing technology since this broke in what? October? Come on. And guys, by the way, if you think your Buckeyes aren't doing it, you're deceiving yourself. Everybody's doing something to get an edge. I will never stop saying that. I talked about it the last couple of shows about this. Crap. I don't remember the name of the company now, but basically a software company that houses tons of film for college football programs and other data. And they had a breach, which they think is from NCAA programs. Nobody's saying who it was. I'm not saying it was Ohio State. But one of the teams who had their information accessed was Michigan. So please, J.J. McCarthy, and again, he's got a little skin in the game, I guess. You're you're really short thrifting the kids in this argument. I'm not saying it doesn't give you an edge. I'm saying everybody does. J.J. McCarthy says, we worked hard and we're not being respected for it. And maybe that's the coach's fault. Maybe it's the media's fault because this stuff goes on everywhere. And if you want to catch somebody, you can catch them. If they got a hair crosswise, Ed, and they wanted to go get something on Ohio State, anything, they would do it. You saw what happened to your team with the whole tattoo nonsense, and Jim Tressel loses his job. Nonsense. Come on. You can find anything about any program if you want. Kids from the Spurs the kid from the Spurs is going to make over $1 billion this year. What's his name? I can't even say his name right now. And the Spurs aren't winning any games, by the way. They're not any better yet with this kid. But this is what we're looking at. Everything, and Kenny, you've said this so many times on this show, everything's about money. And it is. Whether it's college football and the realignment situation, the college playoff situation. And I'm going to talk about the college football. We're going to talk about some things Kirk Herbstreit had to say about bowl games and where the championship game should be every year. But still, money. We add teams to the playoffs because it's about money. Then we start putting games. By the way, next week, as I said, there's going to be a playoff game next Saturday night. Then unless you pay for Peacock, you cannot watch. And this $110 million NBC paid to have this game exclusively on Peacock. That's a lot for one game. And I know the NFL, listen, people are going to say they're going to lose viewership. I agree. They will lose viewership. But sometimes less is more in their minds. Less audience that I can get more money from equals more money for me. Ugh. Ugly. Dallas should be looking for a coach and a quarterback. Listen, McCarthy's not on the hot seat unless if they lose today to the Commanders, team formerly known as the Redskins, maybe futurely, maybe known as the Redskins in the future as well, if some people have their way. If they lose today and then go out early in the playoffs, then it's possible that McCarthy gets fired. But as bad as the NFL is today, the Cowboys are a good football team compared to everything else I got to look at. You guys are doing a great job today. That's a facade. Replacements are already here in numbers. Way more to replace the movers. I'm not going to get it. We're not going to. This is going to be the last post on this issue. I don't want to get into a bunch of political stuff today. Well, skilled labor is going to get replaced by AI, so whatever. Saw Bill at Creekside, and he didn't want to play golf today. Saw Bill. Bill who? Says his brother had a. Oh, you saw Todd. Billy's the one who got hit by the car. Todd, you probably saw at Creekside. I may see Todd today. I don't know. Billy is doing much better. He had a really tough time about a week ago. In fact, he crashed when they were going to do some surgery on him, and they had to work really hard to keep him here. But since then, he's made some progress. Very slow, as Kenny said. But Billy's the one in the hospital. Todd is the one that you saw at Creekside, and Todd is doing okay. Come on, Zach Klazak signing with the Angels is big. Listen, Manaea, whatever that frick his name is, signing with the Mets is big news. The Yankees and Mets, among others, chasing Dylan Cease is big news. Blake Snell is big news. Still got a lot of big name free agents out there, and unfortunately, not a lot of pitchers for two teams and more teams, not just the Yankees and Mets, with pitching issues to resolve. If I'm the Yankees, I go out and at least the trades I saw. I'm not trading Dominguez in any trade for Dylan Cease. But the names I saw, the only guy, Warren is maybe the only guy that I all that I wouldn't want to give up in a trade here. You're going to have to give up some prospects to get this guy. I think he's a better bet to succeed in New York than Blake Snell. And then go sign Josh Hader for the bullpen. I don't know if you talked about this, but having the NCAA championship game on Monday lower your views for the NCAA as far as viewership? Probably, but it's been a long time. They've been playing this game for decades on a Monday night, I think, Anthony. They're not going to go up against the NFL, and the NFL's showing games on Saturday nights. They're not going to go up against the NFL, right? They want a standalone stage, and Monday night's the place that they get it. And again, it's about money. When these games are played is about money. So their viewership probably on Monday night would be higher than it would have been. I don't know. To be honest with you, with the popularity of college football, they may have competed with that Texan-Colt game last night. They might have. And in Columbus, the Buckeyes are the best at stealing and licking their wounds for a yearly loss. Listen, and I think we're talking about the Michigan situation and games. I mean, look, they owned Harbaugh until 2 years ago, so they've lost 3 in a row to Michigan and Harbaugh. But there's years where it goes the other way. You know, that's the thing with those schools. You either win against Michigan or Ohio State, depending on who you're coaching for, or you get fired. Look at John Cooper. What was John Cooper's record at Columbus? Ed, it was tremendous, except the fact that he was like 1-7-1 against Michigan. Excuse me. But his record was exemplary at Ohio State. Couldn't be Michigan. Sign stealing doesn't work unless you have trash cans banging. Funny comment by the way, another way overrated scandal. Everybody in baseball stealing signs too, but don't bang on trash cans or put a buzzer on your chest, I guess. Whatever. You know, play better. All those teams that lost to the Astros in 2017 when this was going on, I think that I've got the right year. You didn't score any runs. Yankees fans, shut up. I'm a Yankee fan. Brian Cashman, shut up. You didn't score runs. Had nothing to do with sign stealing, the fact that you scored no runs in this series. Ironic you're preaching about cheating and not a big deal wearing Patriot gear. Belichick. No, I'm not preaching. Here's the thing. And you got to understand this, Ed, and nobody seems to ever hear it. I'm not condoning cheating. I didn't condone cheating by my team. My point is everybody does it. And it's selective prosecution for the teams that get caught. The NFL, that's why it was laughable, by the way, when I would hear people saying, oh, the NFL wants the Patriots to win every year. That's why they're in blah, blah, blah. It's fixed. It's scripted. The referees, bull crap. The NFL didn't want the Patriots to win because they're chasing them down for cheating, by the way, because they filmed the sidelines, which everybody finds a way to do. Just, again, whatever. It's not ironic. Again, we went through some scandals. Other teams would if other teams were going to be chased down and hounded the way the Patriots, the way the Michigan has been. And again, I'm saying your team probably cheats just as much as Michigan, probably. Everybody does. I'm not condoning. First of all, nobody was madder than me during Spygate. We're good enough. We didn't need to be doing that. That made me angry because I had to deal with this kind of crap, and I still got to deal with it 20 years later. Everybody forgets. If you remember, there's a big story about them filming a walkthrough at the Super Bowl against the Rams in 2002, which was wrong. Big front page story in the Boston Globe. Do you know they had to retract that story 2 months later? You know where that was hidden? People don't even know it. But there is some irony in what you see for sure. I'm not going to deny that. I'm not saying, again, I'm not defending my team for doing it. I mean, but in each case, I can point out hypocrisy in the way that it was approached. Deflategate? What a bunch of BS. If it's that important how much air's in the footballs, why didn't the referees handle the balls? Why? Until after that. Now the league's in charge of it. Then 3 weeks ago, when the airs are out of the ball in Kansas City, the league, which said the balls were perfect when the game started, cold weather deflates balls. Oh, you're kidding. Really? It's laughable. It's laughable. It really is. Yeah, I'm not defending my team. I'm pointing out the hypocrisy of not penalizing anybody else for doing the same stuff or different stuff. And again, not saying everybody's trying to get an edge the same way. Everybody's trying to get an edge, though. There's no doubt about it. JB, if my team makes the playoffs and I cannot watch without a sub, done with the NFL. This streaming sub has got to stop. It probably won't. I mean, maybe if they really tank and don't get any subscribers to watch that game next Wednesday. I will tell you guys something. I don't know if I can show you this on the screen or not. If that happens, and if your team is playing next week, JB, I don't want to update this. I want to show you guys this app. Shit. I don't know if you can see this. Can you see this? Can't really see it. There. Come on. Get back to Dofu. This is a app called Dofu. It is DOFO live MLB. Can't really read that. Sorry. You can install this on your phone. You can watch a game on your phone. If you got a smart TV and a smartphone, you can slingshot it to your TV and watch the games. Every game. There's not a game you can't watch on here. College basketball, college football, NFL, MLB. Now, sometimes the stream will get cut off and you got to go find a different stream, but I watched many a game off of Dofu, and it's very safe. So if there's a problem, go watch the games there. Download it on your cell phone today. DOFO. Just put that in your game store, whatever you want to call it, and it'll come up. 10-2-1. That was close. It was worse than I thought, though. Although he did have one more win than I gave him. CA, we look at the offers for sports programming before football season each year, since they will change, and they're going to continue to change. By the way, Thursday Night Football, you cannot watch. You could watch it this year with just a Prime membership. I'm sorry, without a Prime membership, just being an Amazon, having an Amazon account, you could watch NFL Thursday Night Football, which, by the way, on the whole was terrible. Next year, you cannot unless you have Prime. More games are going to be on Peacock. And it'll be the big games, guys. I mean, you'll be able to watch the crappy games at 1 and 4 on Sundays, just like you always have. But the bigger games are going to be not all next year, but it's going to, in the next 5 to 10 years, the entire landscape of sports broadcasting is going to change. Some might think it's better. I mean, maybe you only have to pay for the games you want to watch. I don't know what they'll charge. They're charging $50 a game. Well, that's stupid. But they're charging, $5 to watch a game, and you don't have to buy the whole package, the NFL package, let's say. Or you might be able to drop your streaming service down X amount of dollars because you don't need all the channels that you have. I could probably save a ton if my wife would let me just go to the basic streaming package with Spectrum, and we'd just download all the apps, because I can watch every network, every channel, basically, that we watch on an app, as long as I have a TV provider. Now, there's going to be more. And so then you watch just the games you want to watch. In some ways it might be good, but look, it's the NFL and the networks, and they're gonna be in your pocket for everything that you can get. You see it now in the streaming. Why do you think streaming? Excuse me. Why do you think the basic TV providers, whether you still have cable, or whether you stream, why do you think they cost so much? It's sports, and the people don't even watch sports have to pay it too. With D'Amico Ryans is definitely the coach of the year. I agree with that 100%. I can't even think of another guy I would put in the conversation right now, to be honest. Can't think of a single guy. He's done a great job with that team, turning it around. Listen, when you get the two of the first three picks and you come away with C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson, you've done pretty well. And Anderson was banged up in that game last night and fought through it and played hard. But great job by DeMarco Ryans for sure. Great hire by the Texans. And by the way, Mike Chiaro, who was a former won 6 Super Bowls with the Patriots, is the architect of this team. He put this team together. He hired Ryan, and also was the architect of getting some of the picks. Was the architect of the previous administration because they kept losing. But get into this cheating thing. My coaches had us trying to see signs in Little League. Every team puts guys in motion or fake handoffs, which is, again, it's a form of deception, right? I wouldn't say it's cheating for the fake handoffs and motion and such. But yeah, everybody's trying to get an edge with deception. So get off the cheating shit. The Ohio State people are just mad they can't beat Harbaugh. They did beat him for a while, in fairness, Kenny, but the rest of that I agree with. And it's not just football, guys. I had the same opinion about the Astros. I say it's not a big deal because everybody does it, which is not saying cheating's okay. We live in an area where coaches can get traded like players in the wild. An era, right? Well, Belichick might very well get traded. Good point, Anthony. It will help the bar and restaurant business. Yeah, but you're going to pay there too. That's the whole thing, Rick. You pay for it anywhere. Bar and restaurants got to pay for it, so bar and restaurant raises the price of food and drink. So you aren't paying as much, but you're paying. Everybody pays it, right? If I go to a Creekside to watch football, games that wouldn't be normally on TV, which isn't always the case, but that's going to be factored into the cost of doing business. It's not that they're doing it free. Now, they do increase their business, so they don't have to increase prices that much. But again, everybody pays. Good question about Vrabel, Drew. That was a hot rumor mid-season, maybe even before mid-season, when the first Belichick rumors started. Mike Vrabel was the home run hire. I don't think he is. I think he may move on from the Titans because things have not gone well there. I think Titans are going to be good soon. I like their quarterback situation going forward. And Vrabel may stay, but I don't know that he and the front office are necessarily on the same page. I think he'd be a good hire, a popular hire for the Patriots and Kraft, but I also think that he's made some promises to Gerard Mayo, and it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. Here's the thing. We're really still good on the defensive side of the football. Missing probably the best 2 players on the defense for most of the season. Their defense is still really, really good for the most part. I would prefer to get an offensive-minded head coach in there, but the prime candidates are defensive guys. Vrabel, Gerard Mayo. There's other teams that want to interview Mayo to be a head coach. There's something there. And I do believe it's possible that Kraft made him some promises, and we'll find out here. Belichick and Kraft have a meeting scheduled for next week. We're going to know pretty early next week, maybe not Monday, but soon after, whether Belichick will continue here, and I would expect a hire to get made pretty quickly. Stefanski, what about him? Who'd you say up there? Oh, Stefanski, good point. That's the one guy. I was trying to think of another guy. Stefanski's done a great job with a patchwork offense. So Stefanski will get some votes. I don't think he's going to beat DeMarco Ryans, only because I think the Texans' rise has been more precipitous than the Browns. But good call, Rick. Stefanski's done a great job. That's a good one. Stefanski has to be coach of the year. He beat the Texans. Okay. And he can win 12 games with 5 different quarterbacks today. Well, you're giving me something to think about. He's in the playoffs. I don't know when the votes are in on this, right? And maybe it matters if one of them wins a playoff game and the other doesn't. Maybe that matters. I don't know when the votes are in. Most of the awards don't count the playoffs. Not sure about coach of the year. I think it should. But I stand corrected a little bit on Stefanski. So there is a competition. One of those guys is going to win. It's funny. The Browns just, and again, I apologize because I shouldn't be this way. They just slip my mind. I don't think about them. I just don't. Maybe it's because of the rapist that started the year quarterback there that I just can't tolerate. I won't say his name here. Drew has a good name for him. I'll let him share it. But the man's a menace to society, and he also, the Browns have destroyed the whole salary structure for quarterbacks with the contract they signed him to. Yeah, you guys are getting me good. Again, my bad. I probably should have pulled up the standings and gone through the teams a little bit. I was trying to do it in my head, and I missed the Browns, which is easy to miss, right? Because they've won with defense all year. Flacco's played good. Flacco hasn't played tremendous football. I mean, he's certainly winning games. He's thrown 7 or 8 interceptions. It's not like he's turned into a Hall of Fame quarterback, but he's out there leading a team, which is important. Leadership's important. And to get off this couch, a month ago and go do this is pretty amazing. And he's thrown a bunch of touchdowns. In fairness, it isn't like he's thrown nothing but interceptions. So I missed that one. That's a good catch for you guys. Thank you for holding me accountable. Rivera expected to be gone. Falcon Smith needs to be. I think everybody thinks Smith needs to be. I think the owner knows he needs to be gone. I think he's wanted to keep him because I think they have a very good relationship. But, to be honest with you, I don't know if it's Arthur Smith's fault or just the fact they don't have a quarterback. That team is held back so much. Quarterback means so much. Unless your defense is as good as the Browns or the Steelers, quarterback still matters. Those teams will not win in the playoffs, most likely. Browns could surprise people, I guess, but the AFC is probably going to be wide open. And I think both conferences will be wide open because nobody's great. Nobody's great. There's a lot of bad teams. Bar and restaurant, $17 for a mini burger. Well, there you go. That's paying for everything. I'm not going to get political. Cost of doing business went up after COVID. That's a fact of the matter. It got more expensive to do business. I don't have a problem. To be honest with you, I don't complain what I pay when I go out. I can stay home. I tell that to the kids when they come and they complain about what this costs and that costs. Let's stay home. These people are running a business. This is a capitalistic society. I'm here to make money. If you don't want to pay what I'm charging, then stay home. That's what I tell people. And I'm not talking about you, Kenny, but Is it high? Sure it is. But the days I go, I don't want to spend money, I stay home. Nashville's a joke for using Oilers uniforms, matching what the city has become. But I like, those are great uniforms, though. But again, you left that city behind, and they had to go get another team. By the way, I want to remind you guys we should be joined by Jim Biringer this morning. I haven't heard from him. Hopefully Jim's okay. Usually he comes on by now. We'll see what happens. I didn't put a specific time for him, so we'll keep going here. Kraft's going to go into hiding very soon when Rogers spills the beans on him on the Epstein. Will you stop it? This whole freaking... I hope you're joking, by the way, because and I didn't bring this up, but I talked about it on the Friday show a little bit. This is the thing I hate about Aaron Rodgers. Do you know how irresponsible it is to throw a name out there when there is no basis for it at all? And by the way, if you read the report that was released, these are people that are associates, and half of Hollywood, half of Washington, half of the business community had an association with Jeffrey Epstein of one kind or another. Rode on his planes in complete innocence. So everybody named that report is not, a pedophile. Aaron Rodgers, but that isn't what the perception is. Everybody ever mentioned in the same breath with Jeffrey Epstein as a pedophile is public perception. And that's why Aaron Rodgers said what he said, because Jimmy Rogers poked Jimmy Kimmel. And here I am defending Jimmy Kimmel, which makes me sick to my stomach to begin with. But Jimmy Kimmel chided at him about his vaccination status or the vagueness of whether he was vaccinated or not, which he had a perfect right to do because it was public knowledge. And all he said was, you should have been more clear, especially when you're in close contact with people and putting them at risk. So that's what started their feud. For Aaron Rodgers to go on a nationally syndicated show and very irresponsibly want people to think that Jimmy Kimmel is a pedophile is just totally irresponsible and indicative of the person that Aaron Rodgers is. He's a despicable human being. And here I am sticking up for Jimmy Kimmel, who I wouldn't walk across the street to pee on him if he was on fire, probably. Sorry. I just realized that signs couldn't be stolen back 20 years ago because they didn't have guys holding up pictures and standing there waving signs in the open because the players had a brain in no place. I'd say the draft sign that I talked about on the college football show a lot, Kenny, but I got ripped about hating giraffes. It's a social thing. What am I talking about? Are we talking about? I don't know what. I don't know which thing that's about, Rick. Wacko for Flacco. He gets arrested today. He's arrested a whole year. Yes, I am. I don't know what that's for either. We're all associated with Keith now. Can't imagine the repercussions from that. Well, that's a good point. By association, you guys, you're all dumber for knowing me, is what I can probably tell you. You're probably all a little dumber for paying attention to me. You think you're... listen, I do. There's a couple schools of thought here. Eric Bieniemy left Kansas City because he wasn't getting the credit. He didn't feel he was getting the credit for how good that offense was. He leaves, the offense is not as good, but they also don't have the weapons, so it's hard to really tell. But I don't know if Eric Bieniemy is ever going to get a job because I believe he's being blackballed, if you will, for, I don't like the word. I can't think of another one right now. He keeps missing out on these jobs because I believe these teams are holding an incident that happened in his life, which wasn't pretty. It happened 30 years ago when he was in college. 40 years ago, maybe. I'm not sure exactly how old he is, at Colorado. And by all accounts, his life has been led well since then. He's really good at his job. And I don't know if he's ever going to get a job, though. Do I think he deserves to be a head coach? I think if all these other coordinators have deserved it, then he does, unless you want to hold that incident from all those decades ago against him, which is probably being done. And I don't know. Look, teams have a right to do that if they want. And I'm not going to judge them or him. You know, if he's changed his life and has led an exemplary life since then, he's owned up to his mistake and paid penalties for it. And that's that. Do I think Mike Tomlin needs to leave Pittsburgh and show his skills on another team? I think it's possible he might want to. I don't think he needs to. Listen, I think the Pittsburgh record of head coaches, 3 since 1969, what is that, 55 years, is amazing when you look at the coaching landscape here now. You know, you don't have Bill Belichick staying someplace 20 years. You don't have guys staying 5 years. Either they move on or they burn out or they lose and they're gone. But there's some chatter that if Mike Tomlin wanted to go somewhere else, the Pittsburgh would facilitate that happening in some kind of a trade. There's been talk that he's interested in the Carolina job and the Washington job because of family situations. And I know his daughter is going to one of the Virginia schools, which would be, this would be closer to. Mike Tomlin, he's done a great job in Pittsburgh. Ralph Williams, who we plug for the RW Media, he's there in Pittsburgh. He does not like Mike Tomlin. I don't know why, because it's been a while since they won a Super Bowl, but they contend every year. The guy doesn't have losing records. He gets teams. This might be the worst 10-win team I've ever seen. Their defense is good. Their offense is atrocious. So, I don't know. Stars playing great without Ottinger between the pipes. Stars have played well. Billy Pulver hasn't shown up today. I know that Jim Biringer wanted to talk about the Jets a little bit today, the Winnipeg Jets, who are in first place out there in the one of the Western divisions, playing really well, both them and Vancouver. So it's going to be very interesting. If we get Jim in here, we'll talk more hockey for sure. The Stars have been very consistent, though, for sure, as have been the Rangers. It's a social thing. It is a social thing for me. It's my opportunity to get together with people that I don't get to see the rest of the year. I mean, my best buddy I see, we go out to dinner, we do stuff in each other's homes and stuff, but not as much as we'd probably like to, because we live a little distance apart. And the way we socialize is not always conducive to being so far apart. So but I get to see other people that I never see. Every week I'm in Amsterdam for football. I will run into somebody I have not seen in 30 years. Every week. Not making that up. And I like that. It's fun. It's fun to catch up with people. It is a very social thing for me. Ian kidding. I will tell anyone I'm associated with the great. I was kidding, obviously. Thank you for that, Kenny. Might be sarcasm. I'd love to tell you guys a story, but it's really not fair. I have a guy, a rep that works for me. He's very young. We just brought him on to one of the teams, and he had a little trouble recognizing sarcasm in a letter or an email that he got from one of our customers that, they didn't pay their renewal and they had their service limited, and they wrote an email that, I mean, it was as scathing as an email could be. And after about not even one sentence you could tell the woman was being sarcastic and nasty. And he didn't see, he's a really good kid. And, he sees the world through rose-colored glasses, and he could not see that he thought she was being very professional. It was so easy to see she was being as sarcastic as she could be. Ed got called a racist because I said Flacco was better than Watson. Why is that racist? That's amazing. Well, you're a racist. We're all racist, right? I'm sure I offend a bunch of people by calling him a rapist. He is. I'm sure I offend a bunch of people saying we shouldn't do away with the name the Redskins. I'm a racist probably for that. I would look at myself as maybe the least racist person I know. Now, again, that's not saying other people are racist. As least racist as anybody. Now my English is getting bad. I don't look at color. I look at people's behaviors and aptitude. I don't care if you're white, green, blue, black, purple. I don't care religion. I don't care gender. Don't care. I really don't. I don't care what you do. I really don't. Now, don't do things that make me feel like I've got to bend over for your needs. I don't want to guess, man, so whatever. I won't go down that road. Enjoy, Rick. I'll celebrate. And by the way, happy birthday, Drew. You brought that up Friday that you celebrate early. Hope you had fun on your birthday. Or having fun on your birthday. I thought it was yesterday. Is it today? I don't know what day it is. I don't know what the date. We get to the holidays and I'm all screwed up with days and just so much going on. Travel. Got a bunch of travel coming up for work and weddings in Rhode Island, vacation in February. It's just I don't even know how much I'll be home the next 2 months. We'll miss some shows and we'll talk about that soon. Sleeping with the Enemy, a good movie. That's a good one, Ed. That might be racist too. I don't know. Yeah. Actually missed the good old days when you knew who the racists were. Because they were proud of the fact. Drew, Mostert and Waddle are definitely out today. Mostert's out again today. Should be an interesting game. I'm surprised, even with the injuries. And Tua's a little banged up. By the way, Hard Knocks, which HBO's had on for years and years and years now and followed teams in preseason. Last year, maybe the year before, they started doing an in-season one, which is far more interesting than the preseason one, I guarantee you. And this year they're following the Dolphins, and it's been very interesting to watch. And I'll be interested to see this week's, or next week's, I should say, I guess this week's edition, because it'll cover this last game. And so I know Tua is also banged up. They've lost two of their best defensive players in the last month or so, and in Chubb and I want to say Taylor. I almost feel like he's Jason Taylor's son. I don't know for sure. I keep meaning to look this up. He was number 15 on the defense, one of their better defensive players. He went out with a knee injury a few weeks back, and they keep losing bodies on that defense, and that's not going to bode well for this team in the playoffs for sure. How come the Redskins is bad, but the Cowboys is okay? Well, you'd have to ask, again, like everything else, Redskins had to change their name. The Indians had to change their name. Why is Indians bad? I mean, I guess it's a derogatory term for indigenous. I don't know for a fact. But in all these instances, and I'm not saying all Native Americans are in favor of some of these names. Most of them are not fighting this, though. If you go out and watch any of the people that have protested these teams for names and name changes, it's mostly Sorry. It's mostly lily white people who have a guilty conscience about whatever and think we should apologize for everything that ever happened in this country. They're the same people who want us to pay reparations. That's probably racist too, right? By saying, I don't think I ought to have to pay for the sins of somebody else's ancestors. To people who have not really been affected by any of that. Now, Cowboys is, again, I don't think Cowboys are offended. I don't think most, and again, this is only a theory, but I think if you were to poll most of the Native Americans, they'd like the names that have been taken away. The majority. Again, just a gut feeling. Anyway, I don't want to get into all that. I thought I got into all that. As long as it's not a woman being better than a man in sports. Kenny, don't set me up. The only instance of a woman, a major sport where a woman was able to beat a man was Billie Jean King beating Bobby Riggs, was older than me. Actually was. I think he was 55 or something like that when that happened. Remember what a big deal that was? I could have gone out and played tennis like Bobby Riggs played that night. Didn't you know only white people can be racist? Well, to the media, that's true. In real life, it's certainly not. That's for sure. Got great point, Mark Robishaw. Good morning. Tyreek Hill, his home didn't burn down, and he's been obviously been a big focal point of this Hard Knocks. That didn't get touched on. I don't know if they might have. They probably already done their filming because I think the show airs on Tuesday night. So I think that fire was like Tuesday or Wednesday. But yeah, there's a distraction for their best player. I got to tell you, and I'll eat some crow here. I thought Tyreek Hill was going to go to Miami and really wish he still had Patrick Mahomes because he was going to see a precipitous drop in his production. But he's been as good, better, actually, than he was in Kansas City. I don't believe, he might have an outside shot. He had a shot at breaking the all-time receiving yards record, but I don't think he's got enough there. Cal Persons. Oh, please. True, please. Please, don't make my head explode. Oh, man. Well, if you're one that uses cowgirls as because you think it's defamatory or derogatory term for the Cowboys, you're putting them down by calling them cowgirls. Isn't that offensive to cowgirls? I had a guy say my head looked like a giant penis on my shoulders on Friday's show, and I didn't get offended. I was angry. I didn't get offended. I'm pretty sure I checked his profile out. There's not a picture. There's not even anything. He's a guy trolling and probably living in his mom's basement. I hope you're with us today, Peter, or watching somewhere, because you didn't reply to my comment back to you because I offered to bring you on the show, and talk about the things you do like and don't like about podcasters in general, and how you like them to look, because I can really step it up a little bit if that would make you feel better. Anyway, I don't think we'll hear from Peter again because, people like that, once you confront them, they disappear. Rick says, happy birthday to Drew. This is your final week of your highly entertaining fantasy updates. Oh, gosh, thank you. Now, nothing against you, Drew. Thank you that I don't have to look at my results the rest of the year. I fell behind early and started chasing upsets. Other than my team, I'm always going to take my team. I know Drew doesn't quite get that with me. Can't ever pick against your team. Again, if I had to pay, $250 to enter this pool because there was money being paid out, I would root for the Patriots every week. I would pick them every week. I don't care if it costs me money. I go make more money. I'm not going to root against my team ever. That's compromise. The Braves and Chiefs are still hanging in. I think again, the people who feel guilty about all the sins we've committed against whomever, in this case, the African Americans. I'm not African Americans, so Native Americans. Braves and Chiefs are okay because they're not derogatory. They're really, they were the top people in the. I don't know. Actually, Braves aren't safe here in local football. As Fultonville had to change their name from Braves to something else. I don't know what they landed on. Kenny or Rick, you might know that. Rick, you might. You're closer to that situation than I am. I remember seeing it, and I don't remember what they landed on, but it's stupid. I mean, for decades and decades, they were the Braves. My school had to drop, before they merged with Broad Alton Perth, had to drop the Red Raiders emblem. Here locally, Siena Indians had to change their name to the Saints. That was 30 years ago. And Billie Jean King beating Bobby Riggs was BS. I agree. He has to cover the double lines, and I don't know if that's true. Did he? He wasn't going to beat her anyway, Ed. She was still near the top of her game, and he was 55 or 6 years old. And that was all a publicity stunt anyway. I don't know, and I'm not going to say you're wrong about covering the double lines. And if that's the case, then it was rigged against them to begin with. But that was all just again, it was a TV event, and I remember that when I had to be a kid, right? I'll stop calling New York team midgets. Oh, Drew's got some good nicknames for the local teams. Probably offend somebody. The Patriots were the first insurrectionists. How do you celebrate January 6th? I go to work like I do every day. Yes, I'm sure Patriot is offensive to some people as well. I mean, you can probably take any name and find offense in it in some context. Creekside or Snowside today? Creekside, I think. Mark, as of right now, I'm planning on going. It started snowing again when I get out the window. Still snowing a bit, but I think I'm going to come up. And if it's bad, I'll leave at halftime or something. But we'll see how the roads are. I travel all major roads up there anyway. Northway, Route 67, and I'm there. So, yeah, so I'll probably be there. Snowside, though. It was good seeing you there a couple weeks ago, Mark. I remember that party. For that event. I also remember the look at my parents' face. Oh, the party. There was a party for the Billie Jean King thing. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. Also remember the look at my parents' faces and others when I said, if this is about equality, then shouldn't she be playing Connors because he's number one like her? Well, again, yes, I want to agree with you. At the risk of pissing off my good friend Kenny's wife, Paula, yes, she should have been playing Connors. That's very funny, actually. People are just afraid of our past and want to try to wipe it clean. Yes, because, again, we're really streaming consciousness today. And I know we've delved more into politics recently, and it's fine. I mean, it's hard. The world is what it is. But you're right, Kenny. I mean, we're taking down statues that we find offensive, and what happened to my? Oh, jeez, I got it stuck on the back of my chair. Hold on. There we go. Yeah, anything we don't agree with, again, just because there are ugly instances in history and people who were not necessarily exemplary human beings does not mean you should forget about it. What happened in Germany in the 30s, saying, and what's the old line, which is a bit of a cliche, I guess, but those who don't remember history are condemned to repeat it. This is what it. Rado, the Valley Hawks. Thanks for tuning in today, Rado. Great to see you, buddy. The Valley Hawks. Thank you. I knew Rado would be able to help me out there. I don't understand it, but maybe there's still some Braves gear out there. I know Rado had some old Braves gear to sell, so God forbid. There's a lot of this going on, and it's funny because it feels like history repeating itself. I know this happened. How long have I been out of school? 40 years. 40 years? Is that right? No, more than that. 45 years. But right after I got out of high school, this was a big thing in high schools around here locally. A lot of them are changing their names, high schools and colleges. And now all of a sudden it's happening again. I know it happened in Fonda. I know it happened, I think, in there's someplace else down here in Albany, Rensselaer County. They just had a big to-do about the name of their sports teams. Hello, Rado. Hope you had a great Christmas and New Year's again. Hope the family's all doing well. Seems like they are growing up fast, man. Rado's going to have some athletes on his hands up there, and have to keep an eye on them. Union changed. Yes, Union. What is Union now? Was it Union? I'm trying to remember what their. Hang on. Now I got to look. Union College. Now they're Garnett. What they used to be. Union Garnett Chargers. Trying to remember what they used to be. Can I tell? Former, hold on. Let me try this. Former nickname. I don't know if we're going to get Jim or he might be on late today. Dutchman. What was wrong with Dutchman? That's right, Dutchman. I mean, did we offend the Dutch? Now, maybe they had a different reason for changing the brand, but I'm at a loss. Dutchman. What was the Amsterdam? Could we be the Carpetbaggers? I don't know. What was the name of the Amsterdam team in the 30s, 40s? Minor league baseball team played at Shuttleworth. Mark Robertshaw. That can't be the Carpetbaggers. It'd be very funny. I feel like it was something like that. It'd be very funny if it was because, all the Mills carpetbagged it south in the 70s, which wrecked the whole city. So CA is confirming that, yes, she got the double lanes, but she mentioned that she didn't need them for the show. She probably didn't, by the way. I remember watching that. Always been logical, even in most of childhood, thanks to You are a logical chap there. Jim Brown would have been O.J. Simpson if his girlfriend. Well, yeah, and this is a little different context than we were talking about, but you're absolutely right. I mean, O.J.'s still in the Hall of Fame. It's not like they took him out because, still we don't know that he murdered anybody. He might have found the murderers if we hadn't put him away for another crime in Vegas for a lot of years. OJ is an interesting case, though. I've been watching, I don't know, recently I've gotten caught up on YouTube watching these old interviews, and a lot of them are Richard Nixon, believe it or not. But I did watch a bunch of OJs where, he talks about still looking for the killer. These are older. They're not new. There was a few years after the events. I still am fairly certain that a racist, so again, this is a case where I do think there's some racism. I think the racist LA Police Department framed a guilty guy. So to be clear, I think OJ killed 2 people, but I think the LA Police Department framed him, for lack of a better term, to make sure that he was found guilty and screwed up the whole case. So there's an interesting case of racism. Shooting you in the foot. I'll trade him a jersey for a bag of chips. There you go. Rick still holding grudges 50 years later. Fonda was a big rival. I know Ronald takes a little heat from his friends in Amsterdam, but he's out there in the Fonda School District. He's got to be a good dad and support where his kids are going to school. Good to have you with us today, Rado. The whole valley, the whole Tri-Valley would have been wiped out. That's an excellent point. I think every school had what today would be a racist nickname. I see Jim has jumped into the green room. Let me get through a few more comments quickly, and then I'm going to bring Jim in. And I'll go back to some of these if I have to. Jake. Ed's going to change his name to Keith Engle and make himself great again. I don't think that's going to help. Keith's pickups have been atrocious. Thank you, Drew. I already touched on this. And that's without the spread. Thankfully, the wagering has been much better. I'm going to get over it. Well, I was over $1,000 ahead in the cigar box before yesterday. I've been decidedly mediocre. Well, at least you threw yourself into the mediocre box here. NFL playoff challenge afterward and a fresh start. Well, Dutchman, Perry Gryzak, another Perthite. Well, sort of Perthite. Can I call you a Perthite, Terry? I don't even know. Yes, Dutchman was the union name, and it's very offensive, obviously. I'll get to there in a second. I hope that was a misspelling, Kenny. They put Vic on the sports network only because he's black and sells for thuggery demographic. Possibly. I don't know. I'm not going to touch on that much. But good morning, Terry, as I said. Good to have you. Too white. Rug makers, thank you. I had carpetbaggers in my head. Probably because of all the carpet bagging that went on there. I'm just looking here real quick. I'm going to go through these quickly, and if we have to come back, I will. Rado voted for Fonda to be a Little Rams. I remember seeing you put that on Facebook. That might be when you got chastised by the Amsterdam folks. I'm sure Rams is derogatory too, as we can't talk about animals that way. Who would have thought Navratilova would end up being more logical than BJK? Yep. Anyone picking NFL? Because she says she can't beat a man, I believe, is what the answer is there. Anyone picking NFL games this week has to account for benchings due to playoff positions. You know what? I think I picked my games based on color of jerseys or something to this week. Or Drew. Woody Hayes could have been a professional boxer. Certainly had a nice original Amsterdam hung out in Perth. That's what I thought. We'll give you, when you hang out, this is a great point, Terry. When you hang out at Mickey's with Big Al Zolak, you are definitely a Perthite. So we'll give you that. With that said, and we caught up on these comments really quickly. Sorry about that. But I do want to get our favorite hockey guru and college football provocateur, Mr. Jim Biringer, in with us. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Keith. How are we doing today?
Hey, it's great to have you with us this morning, and we have just been all over the map here today, so it's good to get some get a little cohesiveness back to the show. I've lost it with name changes for football or high schools and colleges and offensive team names, because we offend everybody with everything we do. So,
yeah, that's true. We do.
Have any hockey teams actually had to do a name change?
Yeah. I mean, in college, North Dakota changed their name from the Fighting Sioux to North Dakota. I forget what their name is now. Okay. But North Dakota changed to Fighting Sioux.
No NHL teams have ever had to change their names, right?
No. No, they have not.
I'm sure some of them would like to have changed their names to be more anonymous.
Yeah, they went from the Fighting Sioux to the Fighting Hawks. So,
there you go.
Yeah.
Why is Fighting Sioux offensive? Why? I mean, they had to fight. So, I mean, come on. Please.
It's the world we live in.
It is. This all started because I said there's some rumors the Redskins are going to bring back the Redskins name, and good for them. Fighting the correctness wave. I think that would be awesome. But,
yeah, I would love that. That would be great.
Jim, so thanks for coming on today. We'll talk some college football first and then jump into the National Football League. I thought, just to touch on last week's games, I thought 2 entertaining semifinals for a change, no blowouts. Michigan, Alabama, a little sloppy, if you will, but so we had an entertaining finish. I thought J.J. McCarthy kind of had his moment in that last drive that he's probably been looking for, that signature moment.
But did he really have a signature moment, or did Alabama's defense just play awful?
Well, there's that, but I mean, he did. Look at he converted with his legs and his arm, and
but he didn't have a great game.
No, I don't mean a great game. I meant the last drive, basically, to tie the game.
But Blake Corum really is the star of the show. JJ McCarthy is so inconsistent that.
Well, here's the thing.
That's the issue, because it was a great game. It was a fantastic finish, but you're telling me J.J. McCarthy is going to be able to match what Michael Penix and Washington is going to do Monday night?
No, without a doubt. I don't think so. Here's the funny thing, though. I love Washington. You and I have talked about it. I picked them to, once Georgia was eliminated, I said Washington will win. And I still feel that. And Michael Penix will make enough big plays, and that defense, which is a little porous, will come up big in big spots like they have pretty much all year. Michael Penix is a far better college quarterback than McCarthy. McCarthy's going to get drafted ahead of Michael Penix in the NFL draft. So,
and he's not the greatest Michigan quarterback ever.
Well, nobody's going to be. There's only one number 12.
Yeah, but 12 was not even the greatest Michigan quarterback ever.
While he was there, I keep remembering him coming in and winning a bunch of games at the end, including the Orange Bowl for Michigan.
He did, but I mean, if you look at the lineage of Michigan quarterbacks, I mean,
Michigan quarterback. It's not Jim Harbaugh.
No, it's definitely not Jim Harbaugh. I mean, you could put Tom Brady top 5. I don't know, top 3, but is he really the greatest?
He can't be, because Lloyd Carr kept trying to bench him.
Right, exactly.
Kept trying to give the job to Drew Henson, and Brady kept coming in and bailing out Drew Henson and the
exactly.
Anyway,
different topic for a different day.
We digress. So, I think there were 2 entertaining games. I think the NCAA's got to be happy with the end of the 14
playoff. They got it right. I mean, the committee got it right.
One thing I'll say, these games can end at 1 o'clock in the morning, though.
Absolutely not. No, I've talked to a lot of people with this. Like, they got to figure out a way where these semifinal games could be played like in the afternoon at some point. Like, you got to do like a 1 and a 4 or something. You cannot be staying up to 1 o'clock in the morning with these games. Like, this is ridiculous.
And the problem is that the Rose Bowl holds the networks hostage, saying they want that 5 o'clock start because they want to see the beautiful sunsets and the blah, 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 which is
that's
great.
Fine.
But you sent me an article about Kirk Herbstreit, which we'll talk about as well in a second. This was about him doing away with the bowl games, but he also was talked this week about how to eliminate that problem, the Rose Bowl should be the national championship game every year.
But then it's not gonna. But then it's gonna start after sunset.
That's okay, but you can start but you can play the game. Oh, right. You have to play the game at a different time. Well, wait a minute. If you played at 8 o'clock, you'd still get the sunset, wouldn't you?
No, because it'd be 5 o'clock on the West Coast.
It'd already be 5 o'clock, and yeah, that's true. Well, they'd have to play the game earlier, which won't happen either. That's a great point.
No.
Anyway, who cares? Is anybody? I mean, maybe out there in the stadium. Yeah, look at the.
I mean, it's a great visual. I will say it is a great visual to see that.
That's
down the mountain
venues in college football. That's why I think they ought to play the final there every year, though.
I agree. I mean, you could have put the Sugar Bowl at 1 o'clock. You could have put the Sugar Bowl, or you could have overlapped or something. We did. I mean, during the regular season, how many good college football games overlap during the year? I understand you want your semifinals to have the best ratings, but we can't be starting the Sugar Bowl at 9 o'clock on the East Coast. Look, the Toronto Maple Leafs in the National Hockey League hold the NHL hostage. They just played in San Jose on Hockey Night in Canada on Saturday. They had a 7 p.m. Eastern time slot. So fans of the Maple Leafs could watch the game on a Saturday night. It was a 4 o'clock in the afternoon game in San Jose. Just because Leaf fans can watch their team.
Yeah.
But they don't care about the Sens fans because the Sens fans had the 10 o'clock slot on Hockey Night in Canada. The Maple Leafs control the TV in the National Hockey League. So if they're out on the West Coast on a Saturday night, they're playing at 7 o'clock on the East Coast.
Well, wait till some of these old Pac-12 teams start coming east to play games. Starting at 8 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock in the morning out there in California. So
right, exactly. So I mean, look, those were two good games, but I definitely agree they need to get the times better because it's just way too late. You can't be staying up till 1 o'clock in the morning. And it doesn't work like that. Like same with the national championship. I think it's 8 o'clock start. I think.
Well, they say it's probably 8:20 or something, but
8:20
comes on at 8. It's probably an 8:20 start. They should start at 8.
Yeah,
I don't know what time did that second game even start? Like 9 o'clock?
9 o'clock. Yeah. It might have been at 8:45, maybe a little, but the first half moves slow as hell.
Yeah. Well, when you're throwing the ball that much, that's what's going to happen, right? So, anyway, I do agree with Curb Street.
Oh, really? It's 8:30. It says 8:30 on Monday. So another 1 a.m. finish. There you go.
12:30 anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Look, I agree with Herb Street. Like, play the Rose Bowl, play the national championship at Pasadena. Again, I still don't know why the NFL doesn't go back there for Super Bowl. I think it's one of the best venues you can host a football game. I think it's the best. I love the Rose Bowl, and I agree. Herb Street, another thing. I've been saying this for years, too. These bowl games, like 6-6, you should not be in a bowl game. You need to be 7-5 or better to get into
5-7 because you don't even have enough 6-6 teams.
Right, exactly. Right, exactly. So no more again, Kirby said it. Chip's saying it. You're having all these prominent college football guys say this stuff. The system's broken. We need to fix the system. If guys don't want to play, then get rid of them. But the problem is they won't because there's money involved now. Right.
And nobody plays in these games anyway. I mean, as a rule.
Right.
And by the way, what's going to happen is because the sponsors and ESPN are propped up these bowl games anyway. There's I'm talking about the early stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'm still okay with the New Year's 6 games and
that's fine.
Games, you can tie those into the playoff going forward and whatnot.
Which they will.
Right. But these other games, the freaking Pop-Tart Bowl and, who needs it? When the sponsors stop paying money because they're like, there's nobody watching this stuff.
And nobody goes to this stuff.
There's nobody at that. The stands are half full and there's nobody watching. So, and who wants to watch? As you said, a bunch of 6-6 teams with half of the only good players on the teams aren't even there.
Right. They don't play. Like, the games are unwatchable. You don't know who's playing. Like, you watch the season for 13 weeks and all these guys. Then come the bowl game, half these guys don't even play. That's why I got on my high horse with Florida State, who was ripping in Alabama for losing to Michigan. They wouldn't have. Dude, you had a chance to make a statement against Georgia with your backup quarterback and that defense. And what did you do? You took your ball and you went home.
To me, that's not on the program. We went on this for
hours. No, but that's on the players for not having the right mentality to say, okay, well, we think we're better than what the committee thinks we are. We're going to go out there and prove it.
Yeah, well, there's no lack of character in my mind for these kids. Anybody who opts out does, and I said there should be some penalties for these kids who opt out. If you don't complete the season, then guess what? You're going to pay for the tuition that we covered for you for this year.
Well, that's why they got to fix the recruiting calendar and the schedule and all this stuff and the transfer portal, and everything's got to change.
It can't happen all in December. This is ridiculous. You got early recruiting. You got coaches moving all over the place. You got the portal opening up in the middle of December.
It ruins National Signing Day. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. It's crazy. Kenny's comment about Alabama playing well below their talent. They didn't play great, but they're playing a really good football team, too. Don't forget. That's a really good defense. The center didn't play well. What are you going to do? The problem is those guys don't ever take the snap from center. That's why you can't move the guy just under center, all of a sudden. So, and by the way, they win that game if they get a good snap on the final play. They would have scored a touchdown on that play, by the way.
They would have won the game if they got good snaps all game.
Yeah.
That was the problem. They looked like the week 2 Alabama team.
Right. And I still say this was Nick Saban's best coaching job, though. John Gonzalez is with us today. Good from the Sports Authorities. Guys, I keep telling you, check out John's stuff on the Sports Authorities. Great stuff. John's rooting for Michigan. I'm sorry. You're a Harbaugh guy. I'm not a huge Harbaugh guy, but I think he's a great coach. Washington is really tough and well coached. It'll be a good game, I think.
It'll be a good game. I mean, here's the thing with Washington, though. They have a great offense. Their defense is good as well, but they can't do what they did against Texas. You cannot get up, try these cute plays, flea flickers, all this stuff. Run your normal offense, because that almost cost them the game against Texas.
Almost. Yep. Agreed. And by the way, do a better job of managing the clock at the end of the game, too.
Right.
They gave the game away there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Dylan Johnson going down doesn't help. But, I mean, look. This should be a good national championship game. The committee got the 4 teams right. They got the most entertaining games. It should be a great national championship.
John is not a fan of these college playoffs. I see, you know what? There's days I am. I'm not, John. There's days I am. When we leave out the Florida States of the world, then I'm not a fan. But I don't want to go back.
I like this, though, because you go back to the old days, man, everybody was playing because you knew the bowl games mattered.
Yeah, I know. And when there were the polls, you're going to have more split championships and whatnot. But
so,
again, there's days I do want to go back there just because it was simpler then. We had kids playing. They didn't opt out. They didn't transfer. The whole world was different then. But I can't go back 30 years. I can't. John loves the Rose Bowl, obviously. It's a great place it's a great place for any sport. Yeah. It's just a great venue.
Absolutely.
Jim, you're forgetting money. We do know that. We do know, Kenny. I believe me.
Yeah, we do.
Win at least 8 games to get a bowl. But yeah, that when there was only like 15 bowls though, John, and now there's
and now there's too many, and now we have these super conferences.
43, 86 out of 131 teams make a bowl game. Come on.
That's more than teams that make the NCAA tournament.
Alabama's talented, not enough depth. You're right. Nobody's got depth anymore, though, Kenny, because of the transfer portal and other considerations. Michigan won because they had a defensive side with more depth. I don't know if that's actually.
They ate that Alabama line alive.
Listen, Michigan won this game because Alabama couldn't snap the football, basically.
Right. Exactly.
Only injuries again will stop Texas from a title game next year. Interesting, CA. A little Texas bias, a lot of CA.
Yeah.
They're a good football team for sure. You can go to YouTube and watch games that are 30 years old. I do that all the time, Carlos.
So do I.
I'm busy I watch more games that are 30 and 40 years ago than I do today, I think. So my pick is going to be Washington, just to touch on this, and we'll move over to the hockey. I think you liked Washington. I don't know if that's still your pick, but I'm going to stay with them. I think Michael Penix will come up with, and those wide receivers will just click enough times, and the Washington defense will come up with the stops that they need. I think it'll be a close game, but I think it'll be a Washington victory.
I like Washington to win.
There you go.
I want Washington to win. Look, both teams have that feel, right? You have Washington, team of destiny. Everything's breaking their way. Michigan, us versus the world. but I'm just not sure. And I know good defense always beat good offense. But but Michigan's defense is going to be tested. This is the best team they're going to face all year that has 3 weapons at the wide receiver position. Polk, Roma Dunze, and McMillan. And McMillan's healthy. And Michael Penix can get the ball out of his hands in under 3 seconds.
Oh, he's quick for sure. I'm still unsure on his, and again, it doesn't matter. Still a great college quarterback. I'm still unsure how he's going to translate at the next level, but Monday night they're still playing at this level. So he's a quarterback and it will play out that way.
Exactly.
Let's move to the National Hockey League. I was looking. You don't have any recent power rankings up, but
I did one before during the holidays.
I was looking for it. I probably didn't look far enough because I know you had a lot of articles.
I was caught up in the World Juniors. By the way, Team USA, let's go, baby!
Yeah, great job.
Yeah, let's go.
Great
Team USA won 6-2 at the World Juniors. So they won their 6th gold medal in 20 years. Their first came in 2004. They looked great. The best team start to finish. I know everybody wants to say, well, Russia wasn't there, but, guess what? That's the world we live in, and they beat the best team, Sweden. So that was a really good thing. Yeah, the last power rankings I did was, during the holidays. A little treat for everybody. Yeah, New York Rangers, #1 team. Yep. Yes, yeah, they are.
One good call. I did. So who'd you have? Who's your top 5? I'm sure the Bruins and Jets.
Rangers, Winnipeg Jets, Dallas Stars, Colorado, and Vancouver were my top 5 at the time.
CA will be happy to hear about the Stars ranking. The Jets just keep playing better and better hockey.
They're the best team in the National Hockey League right now, to me. Yeah. I mean, look, the way they're playing. Look, we got to talk about what Kevin Sheffield day off, right? Over the summer, heading into the draft, there was so much uncertainty around this team. You come out of the playoff, both team, the coach, the players, not on the same page. You're wondering how this dynamic's going to be. What are they going to change? How are they going to change? What's going to happen? Who's going to leave? You go to the draft. Is Hellebuyck going to get traded? Pierre-Luc Dubois gets traded to LA, signs the big deal. Winnipeg gets Velarde, Kapari, Iafallo, a 2nd-round pick. Things start to change in the offseason. Lowry's named the team captain. Guys are committed now. You got Scheifele and Hellebuyck buying in long-term extensions. That gives confidence to this team. They go through some adversity. There's a newfound confidence with this team. And there's a belief in this team that they can go far. And right now, they're Canada's best team and Canada's best hope to win a Stanley Cup. Now, that being said, I saw the Vancouver Canucks live Saturday night. And that team is clicking. Elias Pettersson, Brock Vesser, JT Miller, Quinn Hughes, the list goes on. That team is really damn good, too. Thatcher Demko between the pipes. But the Jets are playing good defense. They have depth. They're able to survive injuries, something that they couldn't do in the past.
Mm-hmm.
They're finding ways to win. They have good goaltending, not only with Hellebuyck, but Laurent Brossoit. Mark Scheifele's there. Yes, Kyle Connor's out, but those depth pieces that they were missing are now picking up the slack. I mean, Winnipeg Jets are on fire.
That's it. To me, the top on both in both conferences is really, really good. Which one would you say has? I still think the East has more depth, but.
I think the East has more depth too, but again, we're getting to that point in the season where you're looking at, what do you look at teams and you say to yourself, what do I believe and what do I don't believe when you look at these records, right? Bill Parcells says, oh, your record says what your record, says what you are as a team, right? You are what your record says you are. But if you look at it, right, you look at some of these teams like Colorado, yeah, they're 2nd in the Central. But sometimes the eye test doesn't say that they're the 2nd-best team in the Central or one of the best teams that can win a Stanley Cup because their defense is shoddy. Goaltending isn't the greatest. So they have things to work on. Over in the East, Toronto, too, they're sitting 3rd in the Atlantic. Martin Jones is really saving their butts right now. I mean, what an undervalue and appreciated, underrated signing that was for the Toronto Maple Leafs at the beginning of the offseason. He's come in, won 3 straight games, but I mean, it is, just something to see that he's come in there with no Joseph Woll, no belief in Ilya Samsonov. They were going to be in the goalie market. I still believe they are, but now you have time because of the way Jones is playing. 7-3. He's got 2.15 goals against average, .930 save percentage. That's going to win you a lot of hockey games, get you to the playoffs. Don't forget, he was there in San Jose when they went to the conference final in 2019 when it was Stanley Cup final. So they're the pedigrees with Seattle last year. Maple Leafs are doing some things. Obviously, the big news probably comes down tomorrow. William Nylander, new 8-year it's done deal. 8-year extension, $11.5 million in that range. He's going to be a Maple Leaf for life. And, that was the reports we were hearing after the new year. Things were going to pick up. Talked to a couple of people. Things ramped up. It appeared that when they get back from this West Coast trip, they're going to announce this thing. They're probably going to be...
How does that affect, you think, then, going forward in the future with other players they need to get signed and whatnot?
Well, the problem is you look at Nylander, right? Everybody says, oh, what is he going to get compared to around the league? It was never going to be about the guys around the league that Nylander was going to get paid. It was going to be compared to the guys on his own team. Well, Mitch Marner gets this. I think I'm a better player than Mitch Marner. I produce better. I'm a more consistent player in the playoffs. I deserve X. And Nylander wanted to stay. The Leafs wanted to keep him. But the problem is they're going down the same path they did when Kyle Dubas was there. And even before that, these player-friendly deals, it's all well and good these guys want to get paid. You cannot have 4 guys making over $11 million if you want to win a Stanley Cup. It just doesn't happen, even with the salary cap going up, because they have other issues to address. Goaltending, defense. There's still issues there. And I go back.
It's similar to the NFL with paying quarterbacks and wide receivers all the money, and your offensive lines are just awful everywhere around the league.
Right, and that's the Leafs' problem, and they haven't made that tough decision. Now, maybe they make the tough decision when Tavares' contract is up and said, hey, John, thanks for the memories. You were a great captain. We're moving on from you. Like, that could help. I still don't think that was – look, John Tavares, a great player. He's done a lot for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's scored the game-winning goal, got him to the second round.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't need him. They didn't need him. They could have added more depth scoring, solidified a number 1 defenseman, had a number 1 goalie in here. It's like what the Penguins are doing right now with John Carlson. They didn't need to trade for – Erik Karlsson. They didn't need to trade for him and his $11 million, $10 million. They need depth scoring. They need better defensemen. And, we're going to see what happens. I mean, look, it's all well and good you get these players, but Toronto's going down the same path they went on, and it could burn them again. And, maybe they make a tough decision on Marner. It was always, when Matthews and Marner got extensions, it was, well, Nylander's the guy that's going to be out. Well, maybe it's not Nylander. Maybe it's somebody else. They believe in this core 4 in Nylander, Matthews, Marner, and Riley. They got to get it done. Because, again, another $11 million contract. You could have signed this guy in the beginning of the season 10-10-5. Would have been a steal. He's putting together a great season. On pace for most points, career high in points, career high in goals. Now you got to pay. And now what does that do to... I was talking with somebody from Vancouver last night about Pettersson. I said, well, did you see the news about Nylander? They're like, yeah. I was like, what's that do for Petey, Elias Pettersson? And they're like, that's just his floor. So now you're saying Elias Pettersson's floor is only 11.5. What's that mean? He's going to get 12, 13? He's that type of player. So these contracts are so crazy. But it's funny how everybody, other team outside the Maple Leafs gets players to be on team-friendly deals.
Interesting. Well, yeah, I know there's been a lot of talk about hits from behind in the league this year. I know you had some thoughts on that you want to get into today.
Yeah, the National Hockey League needs to do a better job of these hits from behind. And police, look, it's all well and good. Guys want to police themselves. It's great, but the suspensions need to be better. Nick Cousins, Kevin Bieksa went off on Nick Cousins. Nick Cousins is doing this constantly. Eric Gudbranson took it into his own hands and basically told the referees, if you're not going to call anything, don't be surprised if I go after him. He did. He gets suspended, but Nick Cousins didn't get suspended for the hit from behind. That would have been all stopped if it was a 5-inning. Like, the NHL needs to adopt the IHF rule on this. And it doesn't really slow the game down that much. Everything is a 5-minute major, and we look at it. Hit from behind, hit to the head. It's an automatic 5-minute major called, and we go to review. I like that because we can get the call right. They can take it down to a 2. Maybe there's no penalty. But the standard for the IHF this year at the World Juniors was not the normal standard. So, but I think you got to start calling 5-minute majors on everything and just review it from there because this is getting out of control and guys are going to get hurt. Best players are going to get hurt and guys are going to start policing themselves. And you know what? The league's going to suspend the guy who started going after the other guy. When from the start, you should just hit the first guy.
Well, hopefully the NHL is going to stay on top of that, which some other leagues don't.
No. Look, I mean, was it Rick mentioned the outdoor games? I like the outdoor games. Yeah. Unfortunate for Seattle and Vegas, they were in a crappy time slot.
Yeah.
It's 3:00 on New Year's Day, right before the Rose.
Yeah, nobody's watching that game.
It's tough. That's a tough. I watched most of it. Look cool. Visuals look great.
I mean, that's why the hockey can't get the casual fans because they do stuff like this.
But also, it's not on network TV too. That was on TNT.
Right.
That's on NBC. Maybe people are watching it, and then you're like, okay, we'll flip over.
Yeah.
Chicago, by the way, will be in the Winter Classic next year.
Where is that? Oh, in Chicago or where?
They didn't announce where it's going to be yet, but they want Bedard in the Winter Classic.
Cool. What are your thoughts? One thing I did, another note I had jotted down here was Fleury had tied Waugh for second most wins all time. Where do you think he stands in the rankings of all time goalies? Do you have him? I mean,
I would put him in my top 5. He's got 3 Stanley Cups, gold medal. I mean, you know, is he Brodeur? Is he Waugh? Is he Hasek? No. Belfour, I think, for me, is up there. Now we can see who's 5. Is it Curtis Joseph, Grant Fuhr? Is it Marc-Andre Fleury? Do you like Tom Barrasso? Who's this? Like, I think you got to put Fleury top 5 goalie of all time. I think what he did for Pittsburgh, what he did for Vegas, Minnesota, he's won. He knows how to win. Yeah, second most wins. He's never going to pass Brodeur. It's never going to happen.
This is interesting, too, because all the guys you mentioned are contemporary players, basically, and the old-time guys never seem to get mentioned anymore.
I mean, Sawchuk's up there. Sawchuk's up there. I like Terry Sawchuk, you know.
Ken Dryden. Where's Ken Dryden?
Ken Dryden. But Ken Dryden's career was short.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
He had a short career. Yeah, he won. I mean, yeah, 4 Stanley Cups in such a short career. Yeah. But I mean, you know, Glenn Hall's up there, Johnny Bauer. I just don't know. Like, those guys were good. They changed the game, like Jacques Plante changed the game. But, man, you look at what Brodeur, Waugh, and Hasek did. They set the standard for what goaltending is today.
Don't you think? And I know the game's faster today, and there's a lot of other factors too. But goalies seem to have they've made the. Maybe saying it's easier is the wrong term to use, but it's certainly different than it was years ago. With all the gear you've got.
Think about it. When Brodeur started,
the Espositos and the Giacomins, and going back to my youth, right?
Even when Brodeur started, his pads weren't as big as they were now.
Yeah. Interesting.
The game has definitely changed. Look, Marc-Andre Fleury is a great goaltender. He's going to pass Patrick Waugh. It was crazy to think back in 2001, Waugh set the record for .551. And now 2 guys are going to pass him.
Yeah. To me, it's shocking to think about. There was a time that they didn't play, much less with these giant helmets they wear.
No mask.
No mask at all.
Wooden sticks. It was crazy.
You know, that plastic mask they would wear even when they started wearing masks.
Jerry Cheevers, Jacques Plante. Yeah. It's crazy.
Oh, crazy. Jim, great stuff. Guys, I didn't mention at the top, and I didn't get a chance to slide in here, but you catch Jim on fullpresshockey.com. Great stuff. Awesome. Just awesome content on the site in general. If you're a hockey fan, Jim's stuff is certainly at the top of that list. And Jim is also a very big contributor on LTS, Let's Talk Sports, with hockey and a lot of other stuff too. So make sure you check that out. Jim, what do you want to leave us with today? Anything we didn't touch on?
No, I mean, we touched it all. I mean, a lot of great hockey out there right now. A lot of things, in the National Hockey League getting ready. All-Star break's coming up again. Who cares really? Because it's, it's the All-Star break. It's the All-Star game. I mean,
we don't care about any. I don't care about a single All-Star game anymore. It used to be a big deal for me, and I can't watch any of them.
No, there's no. I mean, it'll be cool to be in Toronto.
Yeah,
but these guys that get, I would, if you look, no one's gonna care because the next 2 years there's not gonna be All-Star game. You're gonna have Four Nations Cup, then in the Olympics. So there's not gonna be an All-Star game.
Right.
But I think we need to go back to what an All-Star game was. It's the best players for a weekend. Okay? I don't need every team represented. I don't need I get it. I understand why they do it because you want, somebody from Columbus watching their guy at the All-Star game. I don't even think he wants to be there, to be honest. He wants to be on a beach somewhere. Put the best players in the All-Star game and go back to East and West or North America versus the world. Problem solved.
Are the best players going to show up for the Four Nations Cup, for instance?
Yeah, the best players from Team USA and the best players from Sweden, Finland, and Canada will be there.
And you think they'll all participate?
They should. The players want best on best hockey.
Yeah.
We're going to see what happens.
I'm excited for that tournament. I mean, who wants to watch it all?
That's basically your All-Star game.
That's a little different than the NBA's in-season tournament, too, by the way, folks. We're talking
about... Yeah, by the way, Lakers, you do suck. You know why? I don't know what the record is. I haven't looked at it. LeBron said they suck. That's because you got cursed. Kobe cursed you. You don't put up in-season tournament banners.
Stupid.
You only put up NBA titles.
Stupid. They were 17-18 last I saw, so they've been really. And of course, it's the coach's fault. It's not these guys that go out and lose the games. So LeBron's going to kill another coach.
Yep.
Anyway, Jim, great stuff. Great stuff. Enjoy your Sunday. We'll have you back on. We'll talk about the final next week. We'll catch up with you at some point. Talk about the final in college football and stay on top of everything in the NHL.
Absolutely. I can't wait. It's always a pleasure to join you guys here on a Sunday.
Good to have you. You have a great Sunday yourself. Bye-bye.
Have a good Sunday. Take care, everybody.
All right. The great Jim Biringer. Again, catch his stuff on folkpresshockey.com and obviously his shows and contributions to other shows on Let's Talk Sports. He does a lot of great stuff there. So we got a few minutes left here. Just a late note. I'm not going anywhere today. Snowing pretty hard again here. Actually, it's stopped snowing again now, but my boy Mark's staying home to plow and shovel and whatnot, so I'm going to bypass socializing today, although we got family around this weekend anyway, so we'll just stick it out here. Again, thanks to Jim. Great stuff, and I'll try to go through some of these comments quickly. And I don't think we're going to go long today. We might, but let's see what I missed here. What I missed? Carlos. This one, CA was talking about this is about YouTube, not just games. Shows from the 70s and 80s are interesting to show. Back when they actually promoted through training correct speech before they let. I can't get too much into correct speech, but I get it. Carl's going to stay chill on the Rangers, so they'll go. And thank you, John. You're probably gone by now. I appreciate the kind words. I'd like to throw John listen, when new people join, I comment over there on his site. He's a great admin for that, his group, the Sports Authorities. And John, I hope to get my content over there again soon. Facebook has kind of limited my sharing ability for the moment. CA says Randy Moss was somewhat frustrated they had to take speech classes, and then they scrapped it because of the CRT. Because of CRT, I don't know what that is. Before most knew what it was, I still don't know what we're talking about, but I might. And it's just passing me. It's too racist to correct. I do get what you're saying. Not knowing what it is, I can read between the lines. Football's gone to flag football. Football. They named the Pro Bowl players this week, and I mean, all you need to know is that Tyler Huntley, who played yesterday for Baltimore, made the Pro Bowl last year. Does it mean anything? They don't play games, which thank God they don't. They were awful. Flag football is probably more interesting than that. The NBA's just run up and down the court and throw dunks. And it's just, even in Major League Baseball, they don't wear their uniforms. It's about selling alternative uniforms. It's about, I can't do it. Ugh. And they must let players vote like All Pro and NFL, and don't play a game. Vote an All Pro team by all means, but don't vote me a Pro Bowl with 17 alternates. And the guy says, I made the Pro Bowl. No, you didn't. You made it through attrition. I definitely have an all pro team, but don't play these games. So my estimate of 6 inches is now, after shot the deck, is up to 10 plus. Still coming down. It looked funny going up, wouldn't it, Kenny? Sorry, it's an old Freddie Warfield joke. I'm sure he didn't make it up, but I repeat it every time my wife sets me up with it. It's really coming down out there. Sure would look funny going up. Flag football with women is awesome. There is a new, again, to give the women their proper due here with 2 minutes left in the show, there is, I believe, a professional women's flag football league that either is getting started or has started. I don't think it has. So those of you who want to see more, and I know I probably should focus more on women's sports, maybe with the college football or college sports show, I should get more involved with women's basketball, for instance, and maybe we'll try to do that. I just I don't have anything against women's sports. I don't know what we're going to talk about for 2 hours. You want to see poor speech? Check out ESPN Unplugged. I don't even know what that is. But it sounds like there'd be poor speech. Listen, I'm nobody to be advocating that everybody needs to go to speech classes, because I can barely put 4 sentences together in a row without fumbling something, as you can see. And I won't blame my Perth education. It's mostly on my own laziness, because it's easier just to mumble. But what didn't I touch on here today? If I stay, we're going to have to let the Northeast Streaming Sports people go on Roku, but depending on where Kenny sits up or down, poor speech, just watch this show. I just said that. Poor typing, poor everything. I can't get on any of those guys. I do get where CA's coming from, though. You try to, again, everything's racist. If you say to somebody who's going to go on national TV, look if I was going on national TV, which is never going to happen, they would make me go to a speech coach and learn how to talk correctly. But if we ask somebody of color to do that, then it's a racist, this is the way we talk. The same way to bat flips. It's a cultural thing. And, no, it's not a cultural thing. It's a, hey, look at me thing. And why is that not racist when you say, well, it's ours? That's why we do it. But if I point it out, I'm racist. Again, I don't know how I'm getting on a racist thing again. Keith, I would travel up here. Oh, wouldn't. You missed the NT. Yeah, I'm going to stay home. I wanted to see what Mark did. It wasn't bad. It really isn't bad around here. I've been out and about a little bit, but you never know what you're going to run into in 67 and what. And I don't know what will happen during the day, so I don't want to. It's not getting up there. It's never getting up there that's a problem. It's always getting back. So anyway, guys, we're going to wrap it up here today. Great show. You guys have done. I tell you, Sundays has really turned into just a passion. I just love it. I'll continue to. I want to continue to do these shows forever because I love Sunday. Sunday's never going away. I can tell you right now. You guys' contributions here are awesome, and I love it. Do you say people? Do you say people? You people? Probably wrong. You guys have a great Sunday. Enjoy what's left of the NFL regular season. There are some big games today that we didn't touch on, but we'll talk about them all next week, including the playoffs and lots of fun. Snowing hard for Steve Rapello. How are you, buddy? Hope you're holding up well. Sorry, we're signing out for right now. And DDH, thumbs up, definitely, as I said at the top of the show. See you guys next week with the Sunday Stream of Consciousness. We're here on Wednesday with the Sports Huddle, the College Sports Huddle, and Friday with Are You Serious? And I'll be appearing periodically on some other shows during the week. And I'll keep you abreast of that as we go. See you later. Bye-bye.